So good morning, good afternoon, good day to you, beloved masters. Small transmission. Before we talk, let's just ground ourselves. Like, there's a huge difference in receiving a message intellectually and being open to what's being communicated energetically. This requires us to feel the communication versus analyzing the words that are being said with the logical mind, because then we get into micromanaging the nature of the communication and we miss out on the point of clothing the feelings. Us talking, it's all about clothing an emotion. Words, sound vibrations, they clothe an emotion. The point is exchange of the emotion versus, for instance, the grammatical analysis of what's being said. So we've been talking quite a bit over our stillnesses, and this has been a point. So relax yourself for a second. Ambiance is important, but communication is more important. So we're here and we're healing. It's a constant process. To feel like there's a finish line or something that we're going for that we can establish now, just you can relax that. That's the mind identity. So let's understand something. There's a big difference in between embodiment and intellectual acknowledgement. Intellectual acknowledgement is the first step. And yeah, well, there's a lot of information that's being shared. And a lot of people jumping online and, sharing things. And that's a beautiful thing. It's a great thing. There's a conscious expansion of humanity, and everyone is tapping into their ability to communicate. This is a beautiful thing. However, when it comes to real healing, the deeper healing work that we're doing within ourselves, that we reiterate so often, it's a practice, it's a lifestyle. The things that we're intellectually acknowledging via communication, they require time. Yes, gratitude is my attitude, a beautiful affirmation. It's just that that's a vibration versus a statement or an affirmation. That's a frequency of being. It's a lifestyle that's constant, never depending on our outside environment. As we express the information, it continues to be about us acknowledging the divine truth beyond what we see. A lot of the inspirational terms and things that we see, a lot of us mentally feel like, okay, this is airy-fairy. It sounds beautiful, but that's not how life works. That's not what's happening in real life. I got it. However, that's the nature of healing. There is divine truth, but once again, we've configured certain realities or belief systems in our experience that we still hold to be true, even though we intellectually acknowledge information or what's being said. How to practice this lifestyle we talk about. It's continuing to see beyond the illusion on a daily basis. That's a practice. That's seeing the bigger picture in all situations. There's a physical situation, but there's also a spiritual connotation to what's taking place, what's being said. There's an emotional layer to what's being said, because once again, sometimes our reactions and responses are indications of a deeper emotion that we aren't necessarily vulnerable enough to say. For example, anger. I'm scared. However, I get angry and pissed and project all this power to get you to distract you from the idea or the knowing that I'm scared, right? seeing the bigger picture on a daily basis is a practice. This is us dissolving our belief systems through reflection, through reflecting on our own responses to life and the things that we do believe that are causing us to respond or react in such a way, such as fear or loneliness or jealousy or envy or any other distortion. Like there is something within us that's causing us to react in such a way, or our energy is filtered through such distortions, right? As we continue to practice this way of being and acknowledging these deeper truths beyond what we see, it becomes a habit, and we dissolve and detangle some of the ways of thinking or states of mind, right, that we like to coin. These are like belief systems. As we dissolve this stuff more and more on a daily basis, we crystallize the knowing. This crystallization of knowing is us changing our vibration, it's changing our consciousness, because we continue to recognize the truth in light or amongst the chaos and things that have constantly proven themselves to be the truth, which in actuality are the illusion. As we crystallize these knowings via practice, and we began to see more and more proof of this being true, the more we step back and are objective in our lives, this becomes a state of consciousness. It takes time. We talk about this a lot. Like, no one can harm you if you don't accept this reality or accept these programs. The acceptance of a program takes time. The release or dissolving of acceptance of a program takes time. That's the nature of the experience. So we're going to constantly be in the midst of old belief systems. And it's going to continue to see if we truly still accept it or not. And we can come to an intellectual awareness or acknowledgement of that being not true, but yet and still see these experiences and remnants of this old belief system, because it takes time for us to truly be in that state of being, that state of consciousness, through practice, through reflection, through our alone time, through internal inventory. This is when we talk about self-love. So the idea of disease, health issues, they remain because of our continuous validation of the illusion, the world of duality, separation, good, bad. And we can try to sugarcoat it and say positive or negative because we're aware of the terms, but there's still labels to replace good and bad, right and wrong, fair and unfair. And all of these ideas, these constructs, this separation, these labels, they're subtle ways in which we continue to reinforce the program, the illusion of duality. We reinforce or give energy to the illusion of separation or there being a good and bad through our own belief systems, our own speech, the way in which we address or label our experiences. Once again, we continue to give energy to that world. So yeah, as an example, we may say something as simple as, yeah, I love going out to nature, but I don't like the bugs. You know what I mean? All them mosquitoes and the sky is beautiful today, but they got all these chemtrails and the poison they raining on humanity and da-da-da. Like, these are just examples. Or a famous example would be, oh yeah, you can eat this. This is good for your body, but that's bad because it does this and it does this, and that you shouldn't eat. You should eat this, or you shouldn't eat that, or you shouldn't eat that because that's bad and it's bad for you and it causes this. These are all labels, and once again, they reinforce the illusion. The simplest acceptance of distorted ideas reinforce the illusion. They reinforce the hologram, the reality of there being this opposite end of the spectrum that we must survive from. There's always things taking place on a deeper level, as we know. All of our experiences here represent catalysts of our evolution, our ability to make sound, wise, sophisticated decisions based on our current level of awareness. We continue to experience our own energy via these decisions, these experiences of ours. This is where grounding practices are so important. The deeper connection with our intuition and being able to make those decisions and hear or listen to our bodies and the things that reign to be true, or that which is beneficial to the comfort of our ever-expanding experience. This is assisting us in riding the wave. We continue to ride waves of experience and energy that continues to come in, and they bring out energies that we've kind of suppressed or been dealing with within our energy field lifetimes before or what have you. But once again, we're clearing distortion through the practice of emotional alchemy, if you will. As we clear, we heal. Not necessarily, it's not about prep work or preparing for the worst or checking the political thermometer or what this person said. Oh, such as Trump said, and we're going to do that. All of that, come on, this is the illusion. This is fueling the reactive sense of being versus allowing the world or being an influence on the world, us influencing our reality. Did I say that properly? Point is we decide where the energy goes, not the illusion, not the things happening outside of us. We get to decide where the energy goes. And as we do that, we influence our reality. We get to choose what this experience represents. Not solar flares or channel messages. This channel message said, this spiritual guy said such and such, or astrology, that's a big one. A huge one. Tarot. All of these are readings of energy and represent aspects of the greater whole, the lords of space and time, the celestial or logi. The different aspects or sectors of space represent a conscious sense of presence, which has a significant or a signature energy or frequency that may influence our experience here. The celestial bodies, the planets, or a Mercury retrograde, or what have you. These are all influences, however, they aren't the source of our experience. You are the source of your experience. So regardless of the evolutions of time and the different energies we are being presented we always get to decide. We always get to choose. Our life is not dependent on where Scorpio and Pluto and so on and so forth is. There can be great catalysts of insight. However, ultimately, we are the deciding factor. We're not dependent on what takes place with these movements to decide what takes place in our life. Once again, this is where you take your power back and you're not exposing yourself to dependency on what's taking place outside of you for the nature or condition of what's happening in your life. Once again, just like religion, great springboards of understanding the unseen. However, the foundation of all that takes place remains within you. So yes, great aids, but at the end of the day, just like tarot readings, you get to decide, regardless of what the cards say. This is about you. And of course, the refinement of your particular frequency of being is in your internal focus. Internal focus, not all the dependency and aids that you have where you become dependent on, well, let me check this and I got to make sure you can truly be at peace and continue to give energy to what you desire, your preferences, what you'd like to happen, and allow life to present you all that's necessary for that particular alignment. You are the source. You are source energy beings beyond the lords of space and time or the hologram itself. You are source, and ultimately, you are the deciding factor. Even death or physical death, our understanding of that in general is extremely skewed. Physical death is but the change of location. The soul changes location outside of the illusion to review the decision-making processes within the illusion for the purpose of evolution, or amongst the catalyst of a greater recognition of one's true self. This is the nature of the physical experience. And yes, some of us have the opportunity to evolve beyond those cycles at this time. Now, this is a practical thing. This isn't like spiritual airy furry stuff. Like, there's a practical aspect to this. Yes, good and bad, or fair and unfair, like all of these things, they exist within the illusion. However, yes, you're here in the illusion. And of course, our existence here in the illusion involves us working and healing and evolving based on our decisions. There's a practical application necessary as far as our decision making when the divine masculine gets involved. However, first and foremost, it's necessary for us to acknowledge the truth first, that health is our nature, joy is our nature, abundance is our nature. We always have everything that we need when we need it. This is us recognizing the truth beyond the dramas of the illusion. Now, as we continue to recognize that truth amongst the dramas, we continue to dissolve those dramas because we release our belief systems. We release the limitations of those belief systems. However, that state of consciousness happens gradually. It takes time. So the point is, know that evolution is constantly taking place and situations and circumstances will be presented, however, as evolved beings, as masters. It's our work to recognize the truth first and foremost. Yes, recognize the divine truth on a larger scale, and then participate and make the decisions or take the steps necessary on the smaller scale, on the smaller game board. Make the decisions or do what you need to do if there's a person in danger or what have you. But once again, the acknowledgement of the divine truth is necessary first and foremost. We talked about this before. It's the nature of empathy. Empathy being the frequency that's the gateway of telepathy, us understanding what another person is going through. That's empathy. However, empathy requires us to mirror, to get into the frequency band of the person that we're observing, or in the feeling, right, of the person or situation that we're observing, so we can comprehend or understand what's taking place. However, for us to assist in the matter, it requires us to step back, elevate our frequency once again, to recognize the divine truth and make the decisions or express what needs to be expressed. Where we, once again, we step into that frequency of empathy, and then we step out and see the bigger picture. Us seeing the bigger picture is us acknowledging the truth, but then being able to come into the situation and rectify, reconcile, or communicate what's necessary amongst the parties. Love is, beloved. Everything is. Beyond labels, beyond good or bad. A very simple analogy or example would be, okay, so maybe you got to go to the airport. You miss your flight. You miss your flight. And it's, of course, it feels like it's a bad thing. But suppose another flight becomes available 15 minutes or half an hour later, and they upgrade your seat. A whole plethora of other miracles could take place. Maybe the party you're going to see or someone associated with your trip is on the flight. The perspective changes. What seemed to be bad turns out to be a good thing. But once again, the limitation or the ignorance of judgment, us judging the situation, is us seeing the situation from a place of ignorance. We don't see the bigger picture. So we have this filter of ignorance labeling the situation at present based on what we know. However, on a higher level or greater vantage point, there's a greater purpose in what's taking place. So once again, you calling it bad initially was you operating from a place of ignorance. That was your judgment, judging the situation because you didn't see the bigger picture. That's ignorance. Each and every time, beloved, once again, life, love is, everything is by design. There are no mistakes. You can be comfortable in your experience. Keep it steady, ground yourself, beloved. All is well indeed as we continue forth. Humbly, your brother, Commander Ashtar. Love y'all. Peace.